Welcome to lecture 3, where we are looking at operations management, or welcome to our lecture 3 in operations management. Now, uh, we are going to continue where we left at. Today, we're going to start looking at production cycle. Okay, I'm sure now you understand why we are talking about the production cycle. Okay, now production cycle may be used to mean two different uh, uh, um, uh, things. One, we've got at a broader sense and at a narrow sense. Now, at a broader sense, we are saying production process that begins with raw materials and ends with finished products. So it begins with raw materials and finish with the product. So of course that's the chain for every production. Okay, so you start with raw materials, we finish with the last process, which is you have a product or service. At a narrow sense, we are saying it is a time period of the production process from raw material to finished product. Okay, now this is when you observe this, you are going to find that this is actually literally meaning the same thing but having a different face. Okay, we're saying the time period of a production process from raw materials to finished products. Okay, so now the broad meaning is equal to concept of production process. Okay, while the narrow one describes the production cycle itself as described here. Okay, now when we talk about the production process, we're talking about from the beginning, okay, from the first step to the last step. Okay, so that's why we're saying the first broad meaning, it means it describes the concept of production process. Okay, while the narrow one describes the production cycle. Okay, so now here the narrow one, we are talking about the cycle that starts from the first one, the first step to the last step, and goes back again to the first step, and just like that. Okay, so that's why it's saying production process from, okay, from raw materials to finished products. Okay, whereby this one says begins with and from is the key, it's a key defining term that we can what we can use. Okay, is a key defining term we can use. So we are saying with, begin with. Okay, then here we are saying process from. Okay, so now in this sense, this one would make sense in the sense that we're saying the broad meaning is equal to the concept of production process. Okay, while the narrow one describes the production cycle. Okay, now if that is understood, let's look at the elements of production cycle. Okay, the elements of production cycle. We're saying that the elements of a production cycle has got two elements. One, which is the working period, and the break period. Okay, break, we're talking about rest. Okay, when we have a school break, of course, you understand what that means from a simple English meaning. Okay, to break means to rest. Okay, elements of production cycle. Now, there are two elements, which is working and break. Now, when we look at working period, okay, working period, we're talking about the technical operations of an industry, firm, or organization. Okay, this is a time when people work. Okay, so technological operations. Okay, so technological operations, it means that we are dealing with the technological operations, where if we are dealing with computers, we're going to be, if it's machines, all those things. Then natural processes, so meaning you've got natural processes that take place, transactions, exchanging goods and services, transporting, delivering, okay, manufacturing. Then inspection, operation, okay, operations. So maintenance operations, transport, storage. Okay, now here it has to be very simple in the sense that when you look at the working period, just likening it to something that you normally do in your daily basis at your workplace. Okay, there is technological operations, natural process, inspection of operations, maintenance of operations, transport, storage, things like that. Okay, that is for the amongst other things, we're saying the production cycle is time period of production process. Okay, now that is a definition for a production cycle. Okay, the production cycle is a time period of production process. Now, when that is when we simplify it. Okay, when we simplify it. Okay, now, so when you are asked a question, when you're asked a question, you need to be able to identify the things or the aspects that are involved in terms of the working period. Okay, the storage, transport, maintenance, things like that. Okay, now breaking period. Breaks, okay, breaks arising from the organization of the production process includes, okay, so we're saying breaks arising from the organization of the production process. So now in every industry, there at some point you have a break and things like that. Now, we're saying they arise from processes. Production process includes waiting time in magazine, okay, in magazines, okay, waiting in connection with the batch processing, waiting in anticipation of the release of the workplace. Breaks arising from the organization of the working day includes, okay, so now we've got first one. The break, there are two ways, the breaks that arise from that organization of the production process, so we are saying waiting in time magazine. So this would also be related to breaks that come as a result of just the production process, waiting for more materials to come, you are having a break. Waiting for a certain batch to go, or waiting for the certain stock to finish so that you start production, those are different breaks. Okay, so here you simplify it in the sense that breaks arise from different things. Okay, breaks arise from what? Different things. Now, if breaks arise from different things, you need to be able to be able to highlight where the breaks come from, okay, and what is involved in the breaking period. Okay, so breaks arising from the break arising from the organization of the working day, which includes uh, changing of employees. Okay, changing of employees, scheduling breaks, non-working days, holidays, festival seasons, things like that. Okay, so now here it should be simple for you to understand that there are two types. Okay, breaks arising from the production processes, meaning when you're waiting for the stock to finish, or you're waiting for raw materials to come in, you're waiting for the release of the batch processing, you're waiting for the release of workplace. Then the other one, breaks that arise from the organizations uh, of the working day. Okay, includes, for instance, you've got change of employees. Okay, change of employees, you have got scheduling breaks, holidays, among others. Okay, now, what we are doing is that other breaks. Okay. Now we've got, that is about that concept. Now, documents and methods used in production cycle planning and control. Okay, that is another the component that we are looking at. We are looking at documents. Now, the following documents are used during production cycle design. Okay, so we're saying bill of materials. Now, this is a document that is used in what? This is a document that is used in one of the document which is used in what? Production cycle. Okay, planning and control, bill of materials. Okay, operations list. Okay, now at your own time, you need to be able to understand what a bill of material is. Explain what a bill of material is. Okay, operations list. Okay, you need to Google, find out what an operations list is to a company or to a production firm. Production orders, okay, materials and equipment orders, machine configuration, etc. Okay, now, production cycle often involves various IT systems and management methods, such as, okay, so the manufacturing resource planning, okay, manufacturing resource planning, which is two, manufacturing resource planning two, then lean manufacturing, okay, master production schedule, okay, master production schedule, then computer integrated manufacturing, okay, process manufacturing, okay, quality management, activity-based costing, etc. Now, you see, in every situation that you deal with, Okay, here we've got the documents used. Okay, you've got different documents that are going to be used during the production cycle. Okay, bill of materials, operations list, invoices, receipts, different documents. Okay, then at a certain level, you've got also different IT systems that are used. Okay, at your own workplace, you can put in place things that are used at your workplace. However, for this understanding, we are saying that we've got different IT systems, which is the manufacturing, resource planning, lean manufacturing, master production schedule, etc. Okay, these are IT systems, that the machines that are controlled by technology. Okay, now direct and indirect process technology. Okay, this is another one of those distinctions, which is uh, um, which it is important to understand, yet which is not in itself a clear and clean distinction. Okay, now direct process technology directly helps to create the service or product, whereas indirect process technology helps to manage the process that creates the service or product. Now, I want you to get one thing straight here. Okay, we are saying that direct process technologies directly helps to create the service, okay, or product. Okay, whereas in the other sense, indirect process technology helps to manage the process that creates what, the service or product. Now let's look at an example. As an example of this distinction, consider the legal industry. Huh? Now, because lawyers consider themselves part of the professional service, professional service industry, professional service industry does not, it does not mean that they cannot gain benefit by using process technology. Okay, that fact, lawyers, the fact is that lawyers process knowledge. Okay, and clients means that the technology can't help them store. The technology can help them store, analyze, and manipulate this knowledge. Okay. Now, they create certain things, and the technology, it helps those people or lawyers to analyze the information. Okay, into something that can what, come up with a meaningful judgment, or for them to be able to ascend judgment. Okay, some of this technology is known as litigation support. Okay, technology, litigation support technology. This enables lawyers and clients to access databases, sometimes via the internet, containing previous legal judgment. Okay, so here we're just saying indirect and direct processing. We're saying direct processing helps, it is a process, it is the technology that helps to create, service or product, okay, directly, whereas the process, indirect process, helps to manage it. Okay, you are managing the process. Okay, now for instance, let me give an example of maybe I'll give an example of statistics. Okay, those people that manage data. Okay, you are going to use a software to enter data into. I mean, you go into the field, collect data, you know, involve people, ask them questions, and a software, once you are done, the software, you're going to use the software to enter your information. You enter the details. Now that software, like Stata, SPSS, is going to generate meaningful information. It is going to generate something that you can use. Okay, so it is helping you manage the data. Okay, so the process of connecting to the people is called direct process, where you're connecting with the people, getting the information, whereas processing the information is called indirect. Okay, now you can be able to look at more example from this basis. Now, such databases are designed to help law firm capture, share, and recycle their accumulated collected experience, okay, through search engine, and among other things. Okay, now, by contrast, the indirect process technologies used by legal firms are less client facing and more back office oriented. Okay. Now, this system concentrates on scheduling work, controlling activities within the firm, and ensuring that efficiency and the dependability of the delivered services is achieved. Okay. Now, remember also that some technologies can cross this direct or indirect divide. Some newer processing technologies used in the legal industries are built around systems that can help clients direct directly to help track the progress of the work being undertaken for them, and even answer questions that and take part in the what processing themselves. Now, so that is it about indirect and direct. So direct, we are talking about involvement. Okay, you are creating a product. Okay, then indirect, you are managing a product. Okay, think of so many areas where this thing is can be involved. If you have problems, Google, and it will give you more information. Now, product processing matrix. Now, initially uses three dimension of process technology. Okay, so when we talk about a matrix, we're talking about something that has got dimensions. Okay, something that has got dimensions. Now, when we talk about dimensions, okay, when we talk about dimensions, we're talking about the degree. Okay, we're talking about the scale of technology. Okay, when we talk about the scale, one dimension that we're talking about is the scale of technology. The scale of technology. Okay. Okay, the scale of technology. Now, that scale of technology, when we talk about scale of technology, we're trying to say the capacity, okay, not its physical size. We're talking about, not really its physical size, but we're talking about the capacity. For instance, you've got a laptop, okay, the laptop, or if it's not a laptop, we are looking at a machine that can produce 12 bars of chocolate. Okay, a certain machine can produce 15 bars of chocolate. Another machine can produce 20 bars of chocolate. Another bar can produce 30 bars of chocolate. Another can produce 50 bars of chocolate. Okay, so we're not okay we're not talking about its physical size, we're talking about the capacity. Okay, that is one dimension. The second dimension, we're talking about the degree of automation of the technology. Okay, here we're talking about what the technology does itself without what that doesn't require human effort. Okay, so the second is the degree of automation. So the third, we're looking at the degree of coupling of the technology. Okay, now we are talking about the degree to which different parts of the technology are integrated and linked together. Okay, now, these are three dimensions. So in case I ask you to say the production matrix, provide the three dimension of the production matrix. So you need to be able to product matrix. You need to be able to give them to me by stating that the scale of technology. You explain what the scale of technology. You give examples. The degree of automation. You state, give examples. Then the degree of coupling of technology. You explain and give examples. Okay. Now, these three dimensions are very strongly related. Okay, so for example, a small manufacturing jobbing, shop will probably use general purpose, okay, machine requiring the use of skilled labor, okay, and physically separated us to allow flexibility of materials flow between them. At the other end of the scale, a large food processing plant will have many of its activities automated, with each stage in the process being physically connected through material handling devices. Okay. Now, the type of tasks that operation managers will be concentrated with will also change as technology moves down these three dimensions. Okay, with a small labor intensive and these separated technologies, there is likely to be an emphasis on managing and controlling the complexities that characterize such technology. Okay. Okay. Now, so that is about that. So when you look at that, we are dealing with when you look at a product matrix, it is actually different characteristics. So you can be able to study through and understand how different companies are able to fit into the product matrix. Okay. Now the main purpose of the product process matrix is to demonstrate 2 points. Okay. The first the first is that there is natural diagonal. The first is there is natural diagonal or a line of fit between product or service offering that a company has and the characteristics of its process technology. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. Now, when you look at that is the first purpose. Okay. Companies may move their position on this line of fit, okay, often moving down the diagonal as the process along the product, okay, service life cycle, or choose to concentrate on what? Inhabiting one particular position on the what? On the diagonal. Okay. The second point is that any deviation away from the natural line of fit has cost consequences. Okay, meaning that when you set, those lines that we've talked about, those three matrices dimensions, when you move away from those lines of operation, from the usual operations, there are consequences. It's either they may be low production or there may be difficulties. For instance, if you reduce labor, okay, of a certain machine, meaning that the consequences will be reflected in the what? In the consequences will be reflected. Consequences will be reflected in the, okay, consequences will be reflected in the results. Okay, consequences will be reflected in the results. Okay, consequences will be reflected in the results. How is that going to be done? Okay. All right. So because you've compromised the system of you've compromised the system of the production dimension or the matrices. Okay. Now, you can be able to start through and understand how that works out. You can be able to start and understand how that works out. But for now, we are saying that that is all about the production processes. Okay. Now, characteristics of new technologies. We are saying that, you see, in every production, there is what we call, there is what we call technology. Okay. Now, much of the basis for the production matrix came from the academic work, uh, you know, um, uh, rooted in 1960 and 1970s. Now, in 1960s and 1970s, there was a certain level of production technologies that were used. Okay, and at that time, most process technology meant uh, conventional manufacturing technologies, which dealt with more physical aspect than it is now. Okay, when dealing with process technology, that has significant amount of information processing embedded in it. Okay, the dimension needed changing. Now, what we are saying is that then the process needed changing in the sense that it needed more information. Okay, but of course you can see that today the level of technology that you are applying, the levels of the scale, the scale has been what? Scalable. Okay, the scale has become scalable. That is what now the new technology has done. Okay, automation become analytical content. Now we've started, and these things that were too complex now have become very simple. Okay, coupling has become connectivity. Okay, now when we deal with selecting processing technology, we are saying it takes a particular view on how, okay, a particular view on how companies should choose between different process technologies. Okay, now you as an operations manager need to be able to view, you as operations manager need to be able to view different things. You need to be able to select processes that are going to help you, okay, in terms of managing your production as the operations manager. Okay, now we're saying in doing so, it does not cover all the conventional financial capital budgeting techniques. Rather, it focuses on the overreaching idea that technologies should be what? Judged both on their impact in the marketplace and their impact on the resource base of an organization. Okay. It is also introduces a simple three-stage structure, evaluating the technology that distinguishes between one. Okay, we've got what we call the feasibility of the technology. Here we're talking about how difficult it is to get it operational. Okay, that's one thing that you need to look at as an operations manager for you to choose the selecting processes. How feasible is the operation? Okay, is the machine? Secondly, look at the acceptability. How acceptable is the technology? Okay, how much it improves competitiveness and give us a return on investment, as well as what? Adding to the resource base. Okay, then the other one, we're looking at the vulnerability, okay, of the technology. How vulnerable is our technology to risks? Okay, okay, now compared with a more narrow capital budgeting technique, this is far broader approach. Now, we'll be able to see through in our next lecture how these things are making sense, or how they're adding up. Okay. However, um, the next session we'll be talking about more complex things that are going to be an addition to what we're talking about, selecting process. Okay, selecting processes.